Hi there, this is Afro Perspectives. I have got a story that is very, very interesting. It's the threat by Emmerson Mnangagwa to resign. It's coming out from several sources that Emmerson Mnangagwa had a meeting last Sunday at his farm, precab farm that is in Kwekwe, and he threatened to resign. The issue at stake is his plans for 2030. It's the divisions within his party, and not everyone is in agreement with him that after 2028 he should extend his term of office. So we have got a report from the children of the Zimbabwe War Veterans Association. This is the web their page on X, the former Twitter, and what it is that on Sunday, Emmerson Mnangagwa had a meeting with Sanyatwe, Kudata Gwirei, and then Love Mo Matuke. You have to remember that although Sanyatwe is from Manyikaland and all that, and Kudata Gwirei is from Zishawane, just like Mnangagwa himself. Then Love Mo Matuke is somewhere from Maswingo Maibi Bikita. So these are people who are firmly behind plans by Emmerson Mnangagwa to extend his term. But then the issue now is, besides Tagwirei, Matuke, and Sanyatwe pushing for Emmerson Mnangagwa to go beyond 2028, most people are not happy with Emmerson Mnangagwa and what he is currently doing for the country right now. All veterans, they are saying they are not getting anything out of what is happening right now. They talk of corruption. Remember, what's his name? Chiwenga. Remember Chiwenga talking about corruption as a security threat to the whole country. This is what it meant. What it actually means is that Emmerson Mnangagwa is and his family and a few people around him are the only people benefiting from the current system in Zanu PF right now. There is not enough money, enough farms, enough those goodies, they use to bribe everyone else into line. So there's not enough of this. And the problem now is that everyone is discontented. Emmerson Mnangagwa wants to go beyond 2030 and to go for a third term. But most people are asking, what's in it for us? And this is the problem. This is the same problem that Robert Mugabe had. You can actually bribe these people. Robert Mugabe started with the war vets. He gave them like 50,000 gratuities in $50,000 gratuities in 1997 or thereabouts. And then when the list of people grew longer and longer, he started looking for innovative ways to actually to keep everyone happy, and he had to go for farms. And he gave them farms. Everyone got a piece of land wherever they wanted. And then the whole system collapsed. By 2017, he had nothing else to give them. And this is the same sort of scenario where Emmerson Mnangagwa has reached. He is in a catch-22 situation. He threatened to resign last Sunday. If he were to resign, that would be the best thing to happen to Zimbabwe. But then the issue we have is like, even if Emmerson Mnangagwa were to resign, who is actually going to replace him? What comes after? And these people, Sanyatwe, Tagwirei, Matuke, they are to agree on some sort of plan. And what is that plan? Nobody actually knows, but from the little that I can gather from those who are familiar with the goings on in Zanu PF, it appears that there is a government of national unity in place. The government of national unity Well, they probably are looking at in South Africa, looking at what happened in South Africa between the government, the governing ANC, Cyril Ramaphosa, and getting all the parties to round table and forming a government of national unity. But then the problem with in Zimbabwe is that Emmerson Mnangagwa himself has decimated the opposition. The person who actually represented the true opposition, the real opposition, Nelson Chamisa, they sidelined him. We've got Shawangu, we have got people like Monzora, we've got that lady, what's his name? I can't remember her name. She's got a Portuguese name of some sort, but she has no MPs. I don't know how she is any opposition to talk of. And then these people, if they are the sort of people you would want to include in a transitional or government of national unity, who do they represent? The people who actually won most of the seats in the 2023 election, Nelson Chamisa and the Triple C, they will not be included. And that's the bind where we are. That's the crisis. And Emmerson Mnangagwa threatening to resign. Everyone else is waiting to see. And someone was saying he plans to do it live on television, threatens to resign. And then you have got Taguirei at that meeting on Sunday. Taguirei is simply there to make sure that whatever plans Emmerson has put in place, everything is ready. So we have reached a state of crisis where Emmerson Mnangagwa is down to his last options. Is down to the last option. There is no plan that's actually acceptable to everyone. On the other hand, people in his own camp, the faction he leads, they want to go him for beyond 2028 with their 2020-30 project. Because what at stake is the reason why they would want Emmerson Mnangagwa to continue is because they are making a killing out of the system. Everyone can see that. And those who are the other side of the aisle, those who are the other side of the faction led by Chiwenga, they are saying corruption is now a security threat to the country. What they are simply saying, it's not actually that the country is going to collapse, the country is going to shut down because of the corruption. It's simply that they are not actually making anything out of the current system. Chiwenga and his faction, the generals, they are not getting much out of the system. Everything is to do with Mnangagwa and his family, Taguirei, and a few other people who have got access to tenders like Wikne Uchivayo, those three other guys, Scott Sakupanya, and all those other people who have connections to Mnangagwa's family. So this is where we are. This is where we are. Emmerson Mnangagwa has threatened to resign. At some point, it might not have been sort of is going to resign the next day or the day after, but there are plans for him to resign. And the children of the Zimbabwe War Veterans Association, these are people who are close to the system. These are the people who feel excluded from the system. They are saying that, like, Emmerson Mnangagwa is failing to hand down information on those who are fighting him from within. So besides Chiwenga coming out into the open, or Chiwenga not actually going along with his plan to extend, to go for a third term, what Emmerson Mnangagwa is afraid of is that he does not have information on who is actually sabotaging his plans for a third term. And he is afraid of his own system, like what they are saying here on Twitter. So what he is threatening to do is actually, and I don't know whether this sort of threat is a bluff or whether it's actually meant to be real. Saying he's asked everyone else to start preparing for his retirement package. So the threat is real that he wants actually to retire. He was at Precab Farm, and most of these people were saying, "Oh, this is not an ordinary meeting. Something is afoot, you know." But then, like today, we have seen him. He's at the Heroes doing all those sort of things. The people the president is supposed to do, and officiating at the Heroes Acre, doing all those pomp and ceremony, that sort of thing with the motorcade. Yes, we have seen that before. We have seen that before. Someone who is captive to the forces he has created himself, and he just becomes a figurehead. That's what was happening with Robert Mugabe. Oh, of course, that was a coup situation. That was a coup d'etat in place. And we were still not yet there. But Emmerson Mnangagwa is making step by step. He is walking into a trap he is set for himself. Then we have Neva Maswera Say. Neva Maswera Say is military intelligence. He is close to the military establishment. He knows what's happening at the defense headquarters with the military, whether they're retired or serving. So he says, goodbye, say, chekwadi enda izvenyu munoredza tuhove twenyu tutatune vazukuru. So this is Zimbabweans will live happily ever after without you. So this was on October 7 anyway, at around what time was that? About like 6 o'clock. So that was Maswera Say. So everyone else is agreed that they have information that all is not well in Zanu PF. Emmerson Mnangagwa is imminently going to resign at some point, and the only issue is, when is he going to do that? And he had Tagwirei at his farm. Tagwirei is the guy who handles the paces for Emmerson Mnangagwa, and he has to make sure that whatever plans Emmerson Mnangagwa has in place, there is enough money to actually to put everything in place. Emmerson Mnangagwa is not the sort of guy. I doubt if those the retirement plans he has is to actually to settle in Zimbabwe. That scenario can only work if, say, he puts someone he really trusts in power, and those people, he makes sure that they are going to protect him. But then Emmerson Mnangagwa is, during his past 44-year career, he has made a lot of enemies. Just go to Bulawayo. Just ask anyone who, whether Emmerson Mnangagwa can actually step foot in Bulawayo and call a rally there, if anyone would attend. We know what happens after independence. We know the stories about Gukura Wound. We have seen stories in the Chronicle. And so Emmerson Mnangagwa is not the sort of guy who would actually say, oh, I've put in place a retirement package. I'm going to settle somewhere at Precab Farm or the... somewhere in rural Shavaneway, he has got a village somewhere down there. He is not the sort of guy who is going to do that. He needs actually to go just like he did in 2017 when the G40 were after him. He crossed the border into Mozambique. He went to Johannesburg, and he was safe amongst South Africans. And that's the scenario we have. Even right now, if Emmerson Mnangagwa were to step down, what he has to do is to make a jet ready nearby, taxied somewhere, you know, and Manyame Air Force Base, they bid him farewell, and that's it, he goes into exile. These are not the sort of guys who are going to... He cannot... that Precab Farm is only safe there with the heavy security, with guys from the presidential guard. If you go there, you don't need to search for this information. If you were to go right now, all the entry points to this Precab Farm, there are guys there in uniform with yellow berets, those guys from the presidential guard. Yes, so that's even when he is not there. There are soldiers permanently stationed at his farm. Yes, so even if you were to say right now he resigns this today, he will still need that level of protection. He's not going to retire into this is the sort of politics we have in Zimbabwe. These guys, Emmerson, Mnangagwa, they are what the in ordinary English they would refer to as a checkered career. A checkered career. Someone with a very difficult past. And this is now catching up with him. Even the factions within Zanu PF right now, we have got Chiwenga on the other side. We have got his own party on the side. Then we have the war veterans. The war veterans. You can only see them on social media. They are going by the name Children of the War Veterans Associations of Zimbabwe, something like that. And these are the people who are feeling left out, because this is a system that's not being run on merit. It's actually a system based on entitlement. What do we get out of the pot? Tinozga papi, tinoseva papi, that sort of thing. And everyone who is disgruntled has got a grudge against those whom he thinks they are getting most out of the system. And at this point in time, everyone can see for themselves. Emmerson Mnangagwa and his two boys, David and Sean, they are making a killing. Everyone who has got access to these, to the immediate Mnangagwa family, they can get tenders, they can get millions out of shady deals. And this is the problem. And corruption is a cancer that is eating into Zimbabwe. And some way has to be found to bring the country to a factory reset, to start everything from scratch. The government of national unity that is being proposed, it's not actually going to work, because it's not going to be representative. There are no mechanisms actually in place to make sure that that once that government of national unity is in place, what comes after. And this country needs a new dispensation. Zimbabwe needs a new dispensation. It needs someone who is actually going to make the nation come together, put a plan in place for everyone else to move forward. To look at what happened in South Africa after the end of apartheid. They had a Truth and Reconciliation Commission. That Truth and Reconciliation Commission was actually to make sure that whoever has been wronged in the past and whoever has wronged someone, they come out in the open, they declare what they did to the full extent, and then they get an amnesty. And then those who have been victims of abuses in the past, victims of atrocities, they are compensated, and then everybody else moves forward. But then Zimbabwe, after the War of Liberation, nothing. People were just told to get on with their lives, and then immediately after independence, there were all those problems in the two Matabeleland provinces and some parts of the Midlands. And up to 1987, loads of people have got stories to tell about what the armed forces did. And that's the problem where we are right now. And the guys who are in power right now, they have not done anything to address sections of population who have been traumatized by Zimbabwe's immediate past after independence, what the armed forces did to a section of the population. And this is the problem, and this stands in the way of Zimbabweans going forward. We want, it's good news if Emmerson Mnangagwa were to resign, but the question is, what comes after that? We want Emmerson Mnangagwa gone. We want the generals gone. We want Zimbabwe with an ordinary civilian government that is representatives of the true wishes of the people, representative of the people who are actually voting, rather than representing a minor and sort of like exclusive interests that are just like tied up to a tiny elite like the generals and this extractive elite we have in Zanu PF, which is serving as a civilian front to the military junta we have right now in place. So this is where we are, and we actually, the country really is crying for healing, and we need to go somewhere. But we cannot go ahead with with these sort of arrangements we have, where we have Emmerson Mnangagwa holding the country hostage, he says he wants to resign. Yes, he wants to resign. That's all very well, but we need actually proper plans in place for a proper dispensation in place that's actually representative of the majority of Zimbabweans. Then we have this other tweet. I think it's never Maswera say again. He says, ko indava kuita chidofo chakadaro mbavha yatomboti regai hangu ndiende imo irambidza moti aiwa musaende. Yeah, well, I would think this refers to Sanyatwe. Yeah, Sanyatwe is a true die-hard loyal follower of Emmerson Mnangagwa, and you would actually advise Emmerson Mnangagwa to stay at all costs. These guys, remember Sanyatwe was he was ambassador somewhere in Tanzania there, or he had been posted somewhere. If it's not Tanzania, it might be some other country, you know. And he was most people who are familiar with factional politics in Zanu PF, they were saying Sanyatwe is finished. If Zanu PF decides that the powers that be in Zanu PF, if they decide that you are no longer useful for politics in Zimbabwe, what they will do is they will find you a posting in some country in the neighborhood, say Mozambique, say Tanzania, Zambia, them places. They send you there as ambassador. That way they know very well you are no longer a threat. You are safe there. You will meet all those other things that the ambassadors do, like administering visas, that sort of thing, meeting delegates, people who are doing or visiting embassies, that sort of thing. So that's where Sanyatwe was. And then Emmerson Mnangagwa brought him back to head the army. So this is a loyal Emmerson Mnangagwa follower, and he would ask his boss to stay on. He would tell them, "Oh, we have plans in place for you." And the meeting on Sunday, we had Love Mo Matuke. Love Mo Matuke is the guy who is got the ministerial post in the president's office, and he is coordinating the 2030 project for Emmerson Mnangagwa to stay. And what Emmerson Mnangagwa is getting, the meeting, although on Sunday he threatened to resign, these people who he has got surrounding him, Matuke, Sanyatwe, Tagwire is not a politician anyway. Tagwire is a money guy. He knows how to reconcile figures, add up and subtract figures, that sort of thing, you know. But then he is not a politician, and some of the things that you might want to take into account in terms of the dynamics of politics in Zanu PF, I doubt if he's got a full grasp of what's actually is happening. Love Mo Matuke, Sanyatwe, they will tell Mnangagwa to stay on. They will tell to extend his rule beyond 2017. But then the problem we now have is this is not a normal country. This is a country that has, we have seen generals, they executed a coup behind the back of politicians. Emmerson Mnangagwa might have been included in those plans for a coup, nobody knows, but the truth of the matter is that Emmerson Mnangagwa is not a soldier. He does not know how to give orders to 2 or 3 people in uniform. The only people who can do that are people with military background. So you have got, if you were talking of in terms of like someone who has got military experience, let me give you an example. A corporal in a lance corporal leads about like something like 6 or 7 soldiers in the army, and Emmerson Mnangagwa is not even at that level. So Emmerson Mnangagwa cannot pretend to be to be familiar with military strategy, how these things work. You know, the generals, whatever they will plan it behind his back. And Emmerson Mnangagwa fears a repeat of 2017. And there is no running away from this scenario. Once you have executed a coup, once you have done a coup, that becomes the only way to make things move forward or to implement change in a country. Look at what was happening in Ghana in the 1970s or Nigeria in the 1970s and the early 80s. Coups become a norm. Whoever has got ambitions, You might have even a captain. It might be even a captain or a major. If they have got in control of a strategic regiment or a strategic sort of establishment, they might gather a few of their guys and off they go to State House. We have seen that. Like what's that guy Traore in West Africa? He's only a captain and he's leading a country. So the way these coups happen, there is a book, a real sort of like a book of tactics or a plan where you would say, oh, we are following this and this plan. It's actually what those people who have access to weapons and arms, what they decide to do. So Emmerson Mnangagwa is a man who is sleeping with one eye open. He is afraid of a repeat of 2017. And then we have I did a post a few days ago about Rugeje in Bikita, telling us about how the military is united, how they work as a group, whatever it is that they want to execute. They will find ways to do it. And that was a message to Emmerson Mnangagwa. And Emmerson Mnangagwa was, Rugeje was in Bikita on that Sunday, and then Emmerson Mnangagwa was at his farm holding this meeting and threatening to resign. At the same time, the generals, through Rugeje, they were telling him that your time is up, we are united. We know what we can't go ahead. We can't go along with whatever plans you have in place, especially those plans for a third term. So there is no way that Emmerson Mnangagwa can manage the opposing forces in Zanu PF. Threatening to resign is probably trying to blackmail those who he thinks can actually do things for him, But he's done. His career is finished. The people were saying, the children of the war veterans, they were saying they were expecting him major announcement as, when was it? Monday. Yes, they were saying by Monday they were expecting Emmerson Mnangagwa to make a major announcement. He's not made it. Today is Wednesday, and we have seen him at the Hiroseka going about his business, the pomp and ceremony, that sort of thing. But that's not in an indication that all is well in Zanu PF. There is a major crisis in Zanu PF, and we've just seen it. The Mbare is up in flames. Mbare is up in flames. There was a major fire in Mbare, and everyone can see for themselves. There were the fire crews, the fire engines. They were just like, was it one or two? They can't even, the country, they can't even put out a fire. In such a crisis, you would expect fire crews turning up, putting everything under control. But that shows the level of how Zimbabwe has sunk. They are looting money. They are busy doing whatever they want with the national resources. They are giving money to crooks like Wicknell Chivayo, and he's surrounding himself with yes men and all that, and they're telling him, like, well, you can go ahead and do whatever you want. You are King Munumtapa, that sort of thing. No, you are not King Munumtapa. You are just an ordinary guy who has been put there by the military, and when your time comes to go, you have to go. And Emmerson Mnangagwa, if he had actually decided to resign, then we are waiting for him to resign. Let him announce his resignation. That will be the best thing that has happened to Zimbabwe since sliced bread. Thank you so much for taking time to follow this piece. I will see you in the next installment. Thank you. Goodbye.